Do you love deck building games like Dominion, Clank, and Star Realms? Have you ever wondered how they might be transferred into Minecraft? How might that work? Well, in my first game, Meltdown, I accomplished that. I succeeded in making an awesome deck builder game. Let me show you how it works, and then let me show you how I'm going to make it better in my second game, Meltdown II. But before we get to that, know that I work really hard on these videos for you guys, and if you appreciate the content, I ask that you just like and maybe even subscribe, because every single time one of you does that, it means the world to me. I notice and I appreciate it so much. But let's get back to Meltdown and a cinematic playthrough showing you how the card system actually works in Meltdown 1, and then we'll get to building Meltdown 2's new and enhanced card system. Every game needs a heartbeat, a rhythm that pulls you forward, keeps you engaged, and makes every decision feel like it matters. In Meltdown 2, that heartbeat is the card system. And if you want to understand why Meltdown 2 is being built the way it is, you need to understand what cards actually do. Here's the core idea. The game is decaying, constantly. The longer you're inside, the more hostile the environment becomes. More pressure, more danger, faster collapse. You are not meant to simply survive. You're meant to fight the decay, push deeper into the map, and extract as much as you can before the game closes in on you. Cards are how you fight back. Think of them as your toolkit. Every card you play either prevents something bad from happening, generates something valuable, or, in the best cases, does both at the same time. And that tension between protection and resource generation is what makes every card choice meaningful. Now, what you're seeing on screen right now are the cards from Meltdown 1. The specifics will look different in Meltdown 2. New cards, new effects, a redesigned system. But the philosophy behind them is exactly the same. So let's use these as a reference point. On the simpler end, you have cards like Mend, which blocks incoming damage, or Gold Rush, which drops treasures and gives you bursts of speed. Basic tools. But early in the run, they're the difference between staying in the game and getting pushed out. Further up the rarity ladder, cards start making bigger demands. Daredevil rewards you with treasure and core fragments, but only if you trigger Clank within 10 seconds of playing it. The card is handing you an opportunity and daring you to take it under pressure. And then there are the Legendaries. Stellar Spoils drops treasure based on how deep in the map you currently are, meaning the better you're doing, the more it pays out. Bountiful Risk floods you with resources, but buries blunder cards in your own deck. You take the gain, but you carry the consequences. That's the full spectrum. And the thing that ties it all together, the thing that makes this system work, is that you only access the better cards by succeeding with the ones you have. Card buying power grows with your progress. The further you push, the more powerful your options become. It's a loop that rewards skill and punishes passivity. That was Meltdown 1. In Meltdown 2, we're not just bringing that system back, we're building the entire game around it. So let's look at how that's going to play out in the game. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you back here in the world, here at Meltdown 2. And we're doing it. We're finally doing it. We are starting to put pieces in place. And I spent the last little bit just going over some of the details of the card system, and I'm ready to kind of show you it and start putting it all together. So a good starting point with the card system is looking at the old one. And in fact, I spent the most time out of any system looking at this right here. This jumbled up mess of redstone goopity glop, right? Like, It's crazy. It's so complicated. There's so many things you have to account for, but we're going to take this all piece by piece. We're going to tear it apart, and we're going to see what's necessary and what isn't. And I'm going to walk you through exactly what this all does. And, well, actually, that's a lie. I'm not going to walk you through what all this does because, to be completely honest, I don't know what a lot of this stuff does. I don't remember. I did it a long time ago, and it's really complicated. So rather than showing you what all the old system does, I'm going to show you the pieces that I took away from it and how I applied it to our new system. So let's kind of walk through the flow of how this system actually works. And as the cards kind of enter into the game, we need the cards to come in, and the system to do that is actually to pick up the shulker. So once you place the shulker, that it would then break it and pick it up. We need a system that removes the cards from the shulker, and that is a shulker unloader. Then we're going to move into the actual playing of the cards, and for that we need the card sorter to address the instant play cards. These are cards that are played right at the beginning of the game. So right when the deck goes in and the player is getting ready to enter the game and hits play, those cards would be played instantly and the effects would happen instantly. Now, there's a little bit of a branch off here because there is a secret system sorter that is going to go here, or another card sorter that's going to be in between these two. So we're going to sort out the instant play cards and also a secret other thing that is actually right behind the spoiler wall that we won't be getting into today. The path then splits and we go into mode 1 or mode 2. Mode 1 will be our card shuffler, so we'll need to implement a randomizer for that. Mode 2 will be the cards staying in order, so we'll have no randomizer. And then both of those paths will then connect back up with the cards being played. We'll need a timing system to control the card play rate, and then also a card skipping system, meaning we can skip draws. Next, we have an optional reshuffle that can happen, so we need to build a reshuffler, meaning that if a certain card is played in the game, it may say that the next 3 cards you play will be reshuffled back into your deck. That is what this will do. Next, we need to pack the cards to be returned, and that will be a shulker loader. And then finally, we need the cards returned promptly, and we're going to try to do this in under 30 seconds. So we kind of have a sea of requirements in front of us, but as anything, we should take small chunks out and then start fitting them all together. So let's go ahead and start with how the cards get into the game. That's a good starting point. So right in the beginning of the map, when the player actually enters into the game, they're going to have all the settings options, they're going to have gameplay options, mode options, and then finally, to begin the game, they're going to place their shulker right here. This will be actually what triggers the game to start. So in my hand, I have a shulker that has some of the cards from the old game, and I'm going to place it here. That shulker gets instantly broken, and you notice that the shulker box is intact with all the items in it in this hopper down here. But let's move on then to how the cards are removed from the shulker, or in this case, removed from shulker. So why is all this here? Well, let's use an example of this shulker box. If I were to take this box and chuck it into the system, you'll notice that it places it. It now is emptying it. And then once all the items are actually emptied, it breaks it. And then that gets put down into these. Now, okay, why is there a dropper and a shulker box? And why is the shulker box in this hopper underneath the dropper, and then everything else is underneath the shulker box hopper? Well, the answer is because shulker boxes cannot hold shulker boxes. I can't place this inside the shulker box, okay? Or else you'd have infinite carrying capacity, all right? So they put a limitation on that. But this works out in our favor because we actually want to separate the empty shulker box from the cards that are going to enter into the game. So we do that through this system. Now we actually get into the meat of this build, and that is mode 1, the card shuffler, and mode 2, basically the linear mode system. Now, I spent so much time trying to perfect this whole thing, and I know it doesn't look like a lot, but there's a lot of different parts of it. So let's just start slow and easy with the most simplistic part of it, and that is the etho hopper clock. Now, this is going to have some amount of items in here to get basically a card draw every single 15 to 30 seconds. So all that happens is at the beginning of the game, this lever will be flicked. So every single time this gets powered right here, that means that a card is actually being pushed into the system to get played. So let's start with mode 1, the randomizer. How do we get mode 1 to work? There's a really cool mechanic in this game, and it has to do with hoppers and hopper minecarts. Now, basically, in this one spot right here, we actually have 20 hopper minecarts on one rail in one spot. And what's going to happen is the items are going to flow through here, the cards are going to flow through here and get dropped into those hopper minecarts. When a hopper, during a tick, attempts to pick an item out of a container, it does this kind of randomly, especially when there are 20 different hopper minecarts above it. Every single time the hopper attempts to pull an item out of one of these hopper minecarts, it's going to be a different one every single time, meaning that we're getting a completely random output every time. So to simulate this, I'm going to place a shulker box right here, and all the items are going to instantly go into the hopper minecarts. Boom. Okay, they're gone. There's now an item in here, and that's going to periodically be pushed by the timer over here. And what you'll notice is that it doesn't let all the items flow in any particular order. The system actually locks this hopper from pulling items out unless there is an item not in this dropper. So once this item gets pushed out, hop, that hopper gets unlocked and another one flows in. But how are we going to implement the linear draws then? How does that work? Well, it's crazy simple actually. All we're doing is we're not dropping the items into this cart. We're simply going to pull back this ice and drop them into a hopper, and they're going to flow into this barrel. Let's go a step further. What happens if the game ends with cards still in the system? Okay, so this denotes our game on and our game off. The game's currently on, right? And we recognize there are currently items in this dropper and all the way backed up into the hopper, etc. So how do we know that we should push those items out and reset the whole system? Well, we have an AND gate right here. Okay, this is the system we're going to use to empty the dropper. So it's an AND gate with a torch here. Basically, this needs to be off and this needs to be off in order for it to push that and empty the dropper. So let's simulate the game ending. You can see that the cards are all now getting pushed out of the system. Now, on top of that, this line here brings a signal all the way over here, and then it goes up to these two pistons. And what these pistons do is they redirect the water stream so that items are not going up into the sorting system, but actually going out back to be repackaged into the system. What about the card skipper? How would a card skipper work? All right, I'm gonna need you to stay with me here. So what we have is a simple T flip-flop type system here, okay? Item is over here, the comparator is reading that, and therefore the line is active right there, okay? If I were to flick this, that line gets put back and we're now not receiving any signal that a card should be played. We are still receiving a signal right here though, and that has 3 items in this dropper here, and those items are getting pushed into a locked hopper. Once this is empty, the game will know to reset it, and then basically that would indicate that 3 card draws have been skipped. So we have one more left. Okay, one more left. The line is still closed, and let's wait for it. Boom, items are gone. Sent a signal here. Push the item from this. Push the item from this dropper to this. Yep. Push the item for this dropper to this dropper, replacing that line, and then also depowering this hopper, meaning the items get pushed back into the dropper to be reset for next time the card skipper is activated. If you find yourself understanding very little of this, it's totally okay. I get it. It's a lot. But really, it's not that complicated when you take it piece by piece. So I would encourage you to try some of this on your own and test it out yourself to see if you can replicate some of these mechanics and get it to work, because it's just a bunch of little circuits put together. The individual pieces are not too complicated, but I just want to make sure to show it off to you and show you what it all looks like. All right, friends, with that, we've kind of gone over a lot of the major systems, and I think I'm ready to start putting it all together, because here's the cool thing. Once we have this primary card system done, it truly acts as the brain of the entire game, and then we can start putting the pieces in place. Alright guys, welcome back in. A lot of progress there, big updates made. And I'm just going to start over at the end. This is where the shulker box would actually enter the system, get emptied, get sorted, and then get dropped in. We see the items or the cards would be moving up on this top line, and this is the super secret project that I haven't revealed yet. Then the cards move along to the instant play section. Then they're going to drop down here. They're going to go down here, and they're going to fall into our card shuffler. Once in the system, they will obviously be periodically pushed out, but the cards would then be pushed up over here, go over, get sorted, and then get spit back out and come right back down the line to here. And here is our card reshuffler. So if I click this button, that would toggle that on, and then let's say there's one item, two item, and three items. Once three items gets put through the system, as you can see, it closes, and then those items make their way back to the end of the line for the cards, and that is where they get reshuffled back into a shulker box and put back into the system. Now, this took a little bit of finagling, but let me quickly run over how this all works. So, right away at the beginning of the game, the shulker box that's empty will be broken and brought down through this stream into the system. When that happens, let's simulate that by dropping one in here. As you can see, it went down, got filtered as a shulker box, and popped out at the bottom ready to receive cards. So the shulker box is ready to receive cards. There's no cards in it. And to simulate the game being on, let's power this block. What that'll do then is trap all the cards coming in from the game after they've been played in this chest right here, or in the hopper above. Let's just drop, just for an example, let's drop 32 glass in. So now we have 32 cards in this system. The shulker box is ready to load. And remember, the requirements for this is we have to break that shulker box once every single card has been removed from the shuffler and put back into the player's deck. So, we have to create some sort of delay system to continually read and recognize that more and more cards are coming and that all the cards are not done. So what I did over here is I built a delay system that once this system recognizes there's one item or one card in the shulker box, it turns on a clock. And at the end of that clock, there's a dropper with 8 items in it, and at the front of that, a locked hopper. Now, every single time this clock goes, it's going to attempt to put an item in this hopper. Currently, it's locked, so it would accept those items, and once all 8 items are gone, it'll then send a signal back to break the shulker box and send it back to the game, saying basically that all the cards are in the system. But the catch to that is every single time an item flows through this hopper right here, it picks that up, recognizes it, and actually depowers this block, therefore putting any items in this hopper back into the dropper, basically refilling that dropper so that it wouldn't break the shulker box. So if we have a continuous line and a flow of cards coming into the system, basically it's not going to allow you to break the shulker box. But once there's a maybe 10 to 15 second break in that card flow, then we're going to see the shulker box getting broken. Let's watch that play out in real time. As I turn the game off, you'll see cards start making it in. This line gets lit up. it's currently attempting to put these items in this hopper, but obviously the hopper is just putting them back in. So we still have items coming through. That just ran out. Okay, now it locks, and now you see that it is pushing items in, and once that finishes, boom, gets broken. And then what this does is once the shulker box flows over it, it basically starts another clock that then depowers this torch to empty this hopper after the fact, so it's ready to happen again for the next game. All right, with that, now that we have all that finished, we are ready to actually put it into the game. And as you can see, I've actually already done that. So we're kind of coming up on the next difficult part of the entire process, and that is deciding finally where things go. But with that, we have the main player hub, and then the player is going to enter the game, and our primary like send-off room is going to be somewhere in here. And then right on the other side, I figure it would be good to keep all of this information centralized, as this really is the CPU, the brain of the actual whole game. So from here, you're going to see systems branching off and spreading out throughout the entire map. So having it centralized is super, super important. And the reason I wanted to push to get this project done first before anything else is because this is the most important centralized system. Once I have this system in place and know where it is, I can then start mapping all other parts of the game, and it's going to all start coming together and make a lot more sense. So that's pretty darn exciting. All right, now that we have the brain of the game in place, we get to move on to the fun stuff and put things in place. In next episode, I want to address two things. I want to address the new system, Courage, and I want to address what's happening below me. You might have noticed that throughout the episode. So I hope to see you next time as we continue building out this awesome, awesome game that's right above me. So we'll see you next time. Peace!